Sometimes all you need to add to give your project just that little bit more pizzazz is just a bit of texture. And it doesn't have to be loud, crazy textures. It can be something subtle. So I'm going to add some texture and a layer style to this to give it just a little bit more interest. To begin with, when you're hunting for textures, you should consider the size of whatever you're working with. If you don't remember the size, go up to Image and Image Size, and this will give you a total pixel width. So this is 2100 pixels wide by 1500 pixels tall, which works out as 7 by 5 inches at 300 dpi. So we can click OK and come out of that. Let's go hunt for some textures. Now I'm going to use Google Chrome. You can use whichever browser you want to use, and I'm going to show you how I found these pictures. So the first one is the crinkled paper texture that you saw just a second ago. I'll show you how I found that. You type in your keyword. So I'm going to go crinkled paper and hit enter. And in Google, then I have some more options here. So I'm going to click on images, which will pull up just images. But now I want to see ones that are just large. So go to search tools and go to size, and then you want to go larger than. Now remember, our image was about 2200 pixels wide, so probably something that's about 4 megapixels will be about how big you need this. Just a word of caution, when you're looking for pictures or textures, usually the larger you go in size, a couple things will happen. It will take longer for your results to show up and download, but it will also decrease the amount of results, because most pictures that are on the internet are not gigantically ginormous. I don't know quite how to say that, but most pictures on the internet are not huge. So let's go for 4 megapixels, which will refine your search. And on Chrome, I can hover over these, and now I can see that they are quite big. Some of them are really big. And I'm going to go with this one, which is actually the same one that showed up before. So once you've clicked on it in Google Chrome, once it comes to this view and it's done loading, down here at the bottom the gray little line thing is gone, you can save it from that point, or you can just say view image to see it in its entirety. And that is the same one I found before. Now that I have this picture ready to go, the way I bring it into Photoshop is right click or control click and choose save image as, or I'm sorry, choose copy image. If I, did what I do instead of just reading the top of the list. So copy image and then return to Photoshop. Now we're going to paste this in. Just so you know, wherever you are in your layers, when you paste something in, it will come in the layer above. So for example, I'm going to come up to Edit and choose Paste or Command V. You can see now all of the layers beneath this were hidden. It's covered them up. So the only thing I'm seeing is this folder full of words right above it. Now what I really want is this layer all the way at the background. So I'm going to grab it and drag it down. I love how my thing's not listening to me. Usually it scrolls just fine. And actually most of the time I use a short key cut. If you ever do want to use a short key cut for moving your layer all the way to the bottom, Command Shift bracket keys will move your layers to the top and bottom, and Command bracket key will move it one up or down. Alright, so we've got our layer here, and now it's below everything. Now just looking at this, I've got some faint type, and it's a little bit hard to see because this background is so busy. That's something to keep in mind when you bring in your texture. So before we go much further, let's make this background a little less loud. To do one of the easy ways to do that is to reduce the transparency or the opacity of the layer. In your layers panel, make sure you're on the layer you want to affect, and then come up to where it says opacity. And if you scroll that little slider down, you'll be able to see it become fainter, and what that's actually doing is making the layer a little transparent and letting the background show through, and in this case the background is white. So I want to find that happy point where I can read the words without the texture getting in the way, but I can still see the texture, and for me that's going to be about 50%. Once you have your texture the way you want it, and keep in mind you can move things around, so I think this is actually bigger than the page. I can move it around, or I can transform it and size it down, but I think this is pretty good. You know, looking at this, I'll show you what I'm going to change. This has got a wrinkle in it that is coming right down to the word me, and it's doesn't look great, so I'm going to move this around until that wrinkle isn't quite so noticeable. There we go. Okay, moving on. Once you've placed a texture in the background, something you can do to make sure that it doesn't accidentally get moved is to lock the layer. So whatever layer you're on, you can use one of these lock options. We'll go over some of these other time, but for now just say lock all, and now that layer won't even move. It'll give you a warning if you're on it trying to do something that it can't be affected. To unlock it, you just have to push the lock again and it will unlock.